I think the people who actually get results, and I feel like I've said this exact speech like a million times, but I feel like it warrants mentioning for sure, no matter how many times I say it. But the people who actually make results and get gains, make moves, they're the guys who not only train hard and consistently. That's the fucking biggest aspect there is. Whether or not you've got good genetics, shit genetics, a good training style, maybe kind of a less than optimal training style, you're never going to get shit if you're not doing this shit on a consistent basis for a long-term, time frame. But the people who can get a training style or a routine, I mean, not even a training style, but just can get themselves into a routine that they actually like, that they can actually kind of stick with, then honestly, that's a pretty big part of the puzzle right there. We've all got a pretty reasonable potential to get good at kind of anything. I think if I dropped everything right now, bodybuilding wise, and I tried to become a fucking, I don't even know. What other cool endeavors are there out there? If I tried to fucking shrink down and become a professional, like, X Games style snowboarder, if that was my deal, I think I could do it. And I think with enough practice, anybody could fucking do that shit, But that's not my deal. I probably don't want to do that. So even though we've all got a reasonable potential to do whatever, I think the people who can sort of, and this may just be luck, but if you can match a little bit of your latent ability with something that you become passionate about, then right there, this is the fuel and this is the spark. Right? It's fucking killer. So I think I may have at least gotten a little bit of that, because I feel like a total, what's the word I'm trying to think of here? Oh, just a fucking gym rat. I've never had a problem going in, every day for the last like 5 fucking years just because I love it. But I think I also have pretty good genetics. So those two things in tandem, it's fucking badass. So this is one thing which kind of, I'm tapering towards the end of the talk, don't worry, this won't go on forever. But this is one thing that it does upset me a little bit. I mean, maybe not, yeah, I think upset's a pretty good word. Due to, well, not dudes, I guess anybody. I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure the female viewership percentage is still at like 4 point something percent. But, people who don't have something which they like doing on a consistent basis, like, I mean, an everyday fucking, even just hobby level, even just something that they can kind of work at and get better at or just enjoy doing, that doesn't revolve around just like, going out, having fun, going to work, going to school, and isn't just like pure entertainment. I don't think 2 hours of Young Sheldon does not count as a hobby. You're not really, I don't know if you're really progressing. You're not going to become the world's best Young Sheldon viewer. And then just as a little anecdote, I think Young Sheldon's pretty fucking funny. I just use it as a overall, encompassing show to represent wasting your time watching TV. But if you don't have something which you can just do on your own because you enjoy it and you enjoy doing it, then I think you're missing out, man. Everybody needs something. So I guess that's kind of, it's a little bit pretentious for me to say, like, oh, just pick something that you like doing. But if you feel like you don't have anything like that, then I think life can get pretty monotonous. Like, if you just go to work or go to school and then you come home and you don't do shit, fuck, man, I think your days are going to bleed into each other. And don't forget, we've only got so many. That shit is running out. So fast forward 20 years. Fast forward even 1 year. Are you going to look back at your time and think, man, I probably should have done anything. Insert anything. If you know that in a year you think you're going to say, okay, I probably should have been doing this. Or, man, I probably shouldn't have been doing this so much. Look, man, that is not a good feeling to have. I was about to try to say some kind of cool quote, but you can't undo time. So really all I'm trying to say is maybe, well, this is just getting into sort of basic motivational speech, what territory. But find something you like doing, do it on a consistent basis, get good at it. Do you see that deer? No. I need a fucking 360 cam on the outside of the car so that whenever a deer runs in front of the fucking car, I can like flip to that and show you. But yeah, if you have something that you like, I think you're gonna have more fun in general. That's what I'm trying to say there. So, no more chit-chatting. Dude, you've got to treat your fucking training like you're out of this world in a goddamn fictional reality. Because if you're approaching this shit with a realistic mindset, I mean, dude, you're only gonna get realistic results. And for the most part, I'd say the word realistic is very easily equated with just fucking average, with just fucking mediocre, with a run-of-the-mill, a baseline. Dude, that just fucking sucks. And the reason I say that is because, I mean, the working out, like I think everybody should have one specific thing, or maybe a couple of things, you know, whatever, but at least one where you can really dive into it. You're working hard at it because you like it and you're getting good at it. Like, specific proficiencies don't only like make you really good at that one thing. The action of fucking, you know, developing skills, regardless of what they are, it translates into your approach to everything else, and it just makes you a cooler fucking guy. You know, I mean, how many dudes do you know where their most fucking, you know, deep knowledge is like what vape store has the cheapest, like bulk bubblegum juice, right? I mean, I'm not going to say that's maybe worthless information, but I'd rather know a little bit more about the training. But not to get off topic here, everybody needs something like that. So whatever it is, whatever that is, you know, dive into it head first. No holds barred, go nuts. But with the training, or with anything physical to do with your body, that's not something which you can walk into the same way that you do anything else. I mean, there's a certain, like, just energy, because you're being physical. Like, anybody can just grab a few weights or put 2 plates on a Smith machine and like do a couple of reps of squats and whatever, you know, maybe you'll get some minor fucking hypertrophy induced muscle fatigue from doing like an RPE 1 set. So RPE, rate of perceived, dude, I bet my blood sugar is low from legs. Rate of perceived exertion. That's a pretty standard sort of way to gauge a set. 10 means you maxed out. 0 means you didn't fucking try at all. And I think there's a lot of fucking sets out there that are below a fucking 3. Like, just going through the motions, whatever. To expect any gains like that, I would say, is fucking beyond foolish. Now, I think the guys who are doing sets like that, they might not admit it, and maybe even deep down, they don't necessarily know it consciously, but they don't fucking want it. They do not want it. So that's where, when it comes to your actual sets, and this does not have to be the whole fucking workout, you know, in between sets, if I walk up to the front desk to get some water, I mean, I'm going to be fucking goofing around like a goddamn Discord comedian, right? Like, I'm talking, go up to the front desk guy and say, hey, can I check the lost and found? I'm looking for my Jelker. Like, just say some stupid shit, whatever. But I don't want to let that take away from the seriousness of the set-by-set work that's actually being done. So, you know, regardless of whatever kind of goofing or talking or just chilling that you're doing, when it comes to each of your working sets, dude, you have got to go nuts. I'm talking no outside thoughts. Like, I don't even think, I was definitely not thinking words when I was doing those squats and those sets of hip press. There were no tangible words or cohesive thoughts in my mind. All it was like, like, you know how you can hear your own thoughts when you think words, right? I was thinking like just a fucking goddamn roar, like just, you know. And the reason why I say that is because you just can't do a set to the fucking level of exertion that's necessary for serious gains with a perfectly level and calm approach. I think to even try to do that is just an undermining of the fucking underlying situation that lifting is. The harder you go, the better gains you'll fucking get. And, you know, like most things, the more gains you want, the harder it's going to be to get them, the less people will want to actually fucking do it. How far can you think ahead? You know, how far are you thinking ahead in terms of what you're actually fucking capable of? You know, and I feel like in any crazy fucking endeavor, if you were to look at somebody and think like, oh man, would I be able to do what that guy's doing? Fuck. Typically, what somebody's gonna say is like, oh, I don't know if I've got I don't know if I've got the hand-eye coordination for something like that, or like, oh, I'm not really a numbers kind of guy, or whatever. It's like, anybody that's doing anything crazy cool compared to somebody who's never done it before, maybe 99 times out of 10, the guy watching is kind of gonna attribute somebody else's success to just like random ass fucking, you know, schmosh. I don't know what I'm trying to say there. Just random ass, uncontrollable circumstance and luck. You know, I mean, that's pretty classic, right? Nobody's gonna look at somebody who's fucking shredding on the guitar in front of 100,000 people on stage and think, wow, that guy must practice a lot. That guy must really put a lot of time into that. They're just gonna think, holy fuck, that guy's fucking, I could never do that. And that's kind of a cheat code. The fact that that's the case, I think, is kind of a cheat code to get yourself hyped up, because it's just not the right way to go about it. Right? Looking at somebody in their end state compared to you in your beginner state is the craziest fucking thing you could ever do in the world. And now, sure, it can give you something to kind of aim towards, but that, you know, that's crazy talk. So the way I look at it, in any field, right? In any field, I mean, when we see the statistics where it's like a TikTok post and it's like only 1% of people in the entire world can bench 315. Are you gonna join the 1%? It's just, you know, random silly shit like that. And that's not silly, but yeah, sure. Like, even if that statistic is correct, it's not the whole story. That's not the whole fucking story. You know, if you were to actually get a much more accurate sort of view of the situation, sure, whatever. And this number's probably not true, but let's just play along with it. Let's say 1% of the world can bench 315. I'm not saying that's the point of anything, but let's follow me here. Maybe that's true. What percentage of the world are even trying? 10? Maybe 10? And then, what percent of the world are even trying and actually putting like a real effort into it? You know, what? Cut that number down to 5. Cut that number down to 3. And then what percentage guys are actually, you know, interested in locking in for more than 6 months at a time and actually going to lock into their diet and actually care about their training and make adjustments and consistently fucking push it on the regular? That number probably comes down to 1%. The guys with results are not just magically the guys with results drawn out of a fucking hat. It's the guys who have put in the amount of time necessary to get those results. And the whole point of what I was just saying there was like, well, how many people are even trying? And like, okay, these guys are actually trying. These guys are actually trying hard. And this small percentage is actually doing everything that they can and optimizing every little bit of their routine to make sure that they're on track to whatever their given goal is. That percentage is so small. So when I look at that and when I think about things like that, all that's telling me is, okay, the more fucking locked in I can get, and the more little aspects of everything else that I can improve upon and consistently meet the requirements of day after day after day, it's no longer a question of if. And this is what I like about working out so much, is it's it's barely a fucking skill issue. It's barely like, oh, I don't have the talent for, you know, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, there's fucking prodigies out there. You know, there's guys where they're gonna fucking pick up a basketball and 2 years later, they're, you know, getting like college offers or just, you know, random shit like that. We've all kind of heard the stories. But for the other 99% of the world, I'm not joking. Anybody who does anything fucking cool did everything that it took to get there. It comes with just, you need to have a shift in your perception of yourself in terms of, you know, what you can handle, what you can manage, what you really want to do, and, you know, really convince yourself that you can do it, right? I'm not trying to say if you just convince yourself hard enough that you're gonna, you know, get accepted to Yale and become a rocket scientist. But odds are, if that's your shit, and you spend days upon days and hours and just consistently working towards something, definitely not fucking impossible, you know? Because when you look at any percentage of, you know, it's like, what percentage of lifters can bench 315? Or, you know, what percentage of people in the world can squat 400 pounds? Or whatever, you know, what percentage of people can run a marathon? You know, who knows? That's just, that percentage includes people who aren't even fucking trying. So if it's a 0.1% of people in the whole world who can bench 315, cool, you know, that's just a number. 99% of people don't even give a shit. They're not even trying. So then, okay, 10%, let's cut it down now. So 10% of people who are actually kind of trying and going to the gym can bench 315. And this isn't an exact stat, I'm just using it as an example, right? If you kind of narrow that down and you narrow it down continually, then you get to a point where it's, you know, 80% of people who train for X amount of years, count their macros, actively bulk and maintain a weight gain, you know, protocol, you know, go through periods of time, the percentage is just going to fucking rise, you know? The percentage of people who can get to a 315 bench or, you know, get any accolade of anything, that percentage goes to 100 fucking percent when you only include the people who seriously want it and are doing everything they can do in their fucking power to get it on a consistent basis, right? So that's where it's pretty much just within your own fucking control, man. If I wanted to drop everything and try my damnedest to become an Olympic level archer, I'm not going to say I have very good odds in general, but how many people are even going for it? How many people are going to do that for hours upon hours, year after year, continually, right? I don't think it's out of the question, you know? I think if I wanted to make that my shit and I could practice it for like 3 hours every day for the next few years, I think it could be feasible, you know? Now, of course, there is uncertainties, right? There are guys who fucking, you know, are seriously working harder than somebody else but don't get the same end results. But if they didn't try at all, then they'd get absolutely fucking nowhere. So, you know, think when I hear guys thinking about like, oh, well, you know, I don't really have like a massive appetite, or like I don't have really good tricep insertions, or like, you know, my genetics are, you know, everybody in my family is, you know, they all eat this way, and, you know, they're calling me weird for doing. Look, there is going to be some backlash. There is going to be some drag as you fucking plow your way through trying to get something serious done, right? Fucking everybody in my family was looking at me like a freak when I was 16 years old, drinking egg whites and eating sardines because I wanted to get like seriously high quality protein intake and, you know, tons of omega-3 and like the creatine and like all the nutrients and whatever else. No, it's not there's not much mass celebration of effort once you are beyond the age of fucking 10 years old, right? If you got a 10-year-old kid playing baseball, everybody is cheering his ass off to go to practice, and they love it when he's fucking out of competition, you know? But I don't know, you know, I'm not necessarily as old as somebody who would probably say this, but at some point you kind of have to grow up, you know? How many guys want to sit in the room and practice guitar for thousands of hours and then like be seriously fucking skilled. How many guys are sitting outside of class or whatever coding to the point where they're now like receiving high six-figure like coding offers and going to like worldwide national level coding championships and killing it. And that's not just a random fucking situation. One of my friend's brothers is he's kind of doing that sort of stuff. And that's fucking insane, And with everything, the crazier shit that you want to do, like I was saying in the beginning, it requires the most fucking time and energy on the back end, which will actually fucking add up, Until you, if you're at the beach and you want a badass fucking hole in the sand, which, well, for my 4% female audience, you might not get it, but for all the guys out there, no explanation needed. It's not just going to happen, man. You got to start scooping. So even though each scoop, it's not really, you wouldn't notice much if you do one scoop versus two versus three. But by the time you've done a few fucking hundred, dude, you can fit fucking 3 guys in there, So I can't overstate it. I cannot overstate it that your effort on a set-by-set basis has one of the strongest relations to your end goal gains as really anything. And I know that might sound like I'm taking food and diet and recovery out of the situation, but if you're actually serious about making your workouts insane and trying to optimize every facet of your fucking training, recovery, diet, sleep, then those things will just fall into place. Because if one of your highest priorities for your workouts is making them as good as possible, then underneath that pinnacle point goal is a few key factors, right? I want to be well rested. I want to be well fucking hydrated. I do not want to have an exertion headache because I don't have enough fluids in my system and my brain is either like swelling or shrinking. Like that's kind of the cause of all that sort of stuff, just from having a fluid imbalance. I want to be well fed so I can actually fucking fuel this workout as well as the recovery outside of the gym so I can come back the next day and make it happen. Okay, if I want all those 3 things to be good, then let's back up. And then each of those has its own individual fucking, necessary actions to take to make it happen. If I want a good night's rest, maybe I'm not going to stay up on Discord until 3 a.m. and then wake up at 8, totally underslept, have to go do whatever. Either do cardio with less than ideal sleep, or skip the cardio and sleep a little bit more. I'm not going to sit around and just drink like one Monster before I do my cardio in the morning, and then nothing else until I drink my pre-workout, and then suddenly have to say, I don't really feel very pumped. It's like, my joints feel so stiff. Or one of the worst case scenarios, which I see the most, is guys where they just don't eat enough fucking food. You're not eating enough and giving yourself enough energy to recover. So even if you are training like reasonably hard within a hypertrophic kind of level of intensity, you're not fueling yourself up enough to be able to come back and keep that up in a way that's going to actually progress you further. It's not hard to stay the exact same level as a lifter. It's actually pretty fucking easy. There's just a couple of extra steps, diet, sleep, training, where if you just improve them marginally over time, it's going to pay dividends, So not to get so personal, or not to get so like nitpicky and kind of targetish, but when I see guys doing scrappy sets, and especially when this really gets me the most. I'm not going to get mad at my phone, but just the idea that there's guys out there where they're saying they're training hard, they're saying they're eating enough food, they're saying they're locking in, but there's no easier way to put it than they're just lying. And the social media side of things, you're just lying to whoever's watching you. But even worse than that, you're lying to your fucking self. I mean, you're not going to say that every fucking day and not at some subconscious level believe it. Because, that's just going to turn you into a fucking schmuck. If I constantly told myself it's like, I'm eating all my meals, I'm training hard, man, I'm getting enough sleep, I'm drinking all my water, I don't know why I'm making any gains. If you keep feeding that little narrative to yourself over and over and over again, then eventually you're going to completely believe it. I'm talking like CIA sort of mind control situations. If you hear enough, the same statement just over and over and over again, it's going to just become your reality. Then there's no chance that you're suddenly going to fucking break that pattern and start to say, it's like, okay, maybe I need to change something. It's like there's a certain amount of accountability that you need to have for your own gains if you want to make them happen. And it's the guys who can't do that. It's the guys who can't wrap their head around the fact that, like, okay, I'm responsible for my own gains. If I'm not getting them, and if I'm not making noticeable progress within reason for my situation, then I need to change something. That's like maybe 5% the case. The rest either just fucking, show up to the gym all casual, like whatever, or they just always, oh, dude, I'm training so hard, man. Dude, I swear I'm really fucking going hard, man. I like failure every set. It's like, yeah, all right, man, if I can believe it. Put my headphones in, then I do a real set, So it just sucks, right? That's something which I hate to hear, and I just hate to see it, The real enlightened lifter and the real enlightened fucking person, they're impenetrable to negativity. And even if it gets in some kind of weird way, it is instantly flipped around into some kind of a positive, which I know is like so cliche and silly. Like, I may as well say, oh, well, just try to look on the bright side of things. But there's a reason cliches are so fucking, repeated and just well said over time. It's because they're fucking true, and you have to look at it a little bit deeper than surface value. But if you can do that, it will make a little bit more sense to you. If you can have that, if you can have a bit more of an iron fucking mind, then you're just going to be less prone to, I kind of want to just say, annoyance, right? I mean, who's going to have a better day? The guy who fucking wakes up and he's like, oh shit, it's raining today. Oh, yip-de-doo, whatever. Or the guy's like, God, I fucking hate the rain. God, I hate traffic on the highway. And it's kind of a sick, masochistic sort of mindset, because I'd say the majority of just folk running around the world have this weird, I don't know what causes it, maybe some kind of resentment when they're raised or whatever, but they've got this, it's almost like the opposite of what I'm trying to say. Like, they get some kind of moderate dopamine reaction in their mind when they focus on the negative side of things. Like, for somebody like that, it's almost impossible for them to just look at something and give it a compliment or like take it for what it is. It's like, it's the kind of guy who'd go to a restaurant and is like, oh my God, fucking the ambiance in here. So did you hear the people behind us and what they were talking about? Oh, it's so fucking annoying. And like, they completely overcook my steak. It's like they've got a goddamn metal detector for anything that might be slightly off or doesn't reach whatever their standards are, and then they just inflate it as though somehow they were on like the negative end of it. Oh, I stepped in a puddle today and got mud all over my fucking Vans. Dude, fucking gross. I mean, how old are you? 8? Minor inconveniences do not need to be such a big deal of your day, right? I mean, somebody bumping in, like accidentally bumping somebody kind of hard, to the real negative person, that's their story of their week. That's something that every time they talk to, one of their buddies or whatever, and like they're just saying whatever, that's their story of the week. Oh, dude, you won't believe what fucking happened to me, man. I went to McDonald's and this guy bumped me. Oh, it's like, what a fucking schmuck, So, I don't know, shit, maybe I'm doing the same thing and I'm complaining about people like that when I should really just dismiss it. Not perfect, of course, but that is what I'm aiming for, right? To be able to be in a state where your momentum can basically not be stopped, that is ideal, right? It's like, oh crap, this, man, the gym I was going to go to actually closed at 2 instead of 6. I mean, how many people would just say, all right, go home, skip it, whatever. Now, I'm kind of spoiling myself. I just went to a different gym because I'm such a fucking gym nut. I've got like a keychain full of membership key fobs. But, for real, just how strong is your will to get whatever it is you want to do done, where one minor inconvenience can totally offset your trajectory? And not even that, if it can offset your fucking mindset and your mentality, and you let random nothingness seep into your mind, dude, it's gonna show, right? That's that's a nice little analogy of when guys talk about. This is more of like a religious thing, but it kind of applies. They'll essentially say it's like, all right, if you squeeze an orange, what's going to come out? Orange juice, right? No matter how hard you squeeze it, you're never going to get apple juice. You're never going to get grapefruit juice. You're never going to get anything. All you're going to get is what's inside. So if you're walking around like just fucking with I don't want to say a vengeance, but just with like a generalized resentment and like angst and maybe not depressiveness, but just like negativity to your fucking pep, it's going to show in whatever you do. So that's something which I think about sometimes. I'm not that's not something that you need to think about every day, but there's a lot of benefit, I think, in some of the like self-help talks and like speeches. I don't know any of these guys' names. I've listened to a lot of them over the course of the last couple of years, to the point where I probably should know their name. But like they're writing off these sorts of books like kind of sort of stoicism themed, kind of like conquering your own thoughts and whatever else. But the basic premise is like I've just been saying. Okay? Don't give any negative kind of thoughts too much power and attention, because you're kind of just gonna fucking become what you think about, right? So if every day I'm thinking, all right, I'm gonna have a fucking crazy lift, I'm gonna eat all my calories, I'm gonna fucking get a solid amount of sleep, I'm gonna slam some water, all right, I'm gonna really take this set to... If all I'm thinking about is like the things I want to do, then guess what? It's gonna happen. It's not even a question. But you know, if the whole time you're constantly just like second guessing yourself, or I don't know if I'm gonna be able to, it's gonna be hard, or just, no. So, you know, when somebody might think like, dude, come to the gym is fucking every day, dude, like, including the drive, that's like 2 hours a day. That's fucking unreasonable. Well then, maybe getting gains is just unreasonable for that guy, you know? Like, I always get comments on the forum days. It's like, what kind of guy would drive all the way to the gym just to hit forearms and calves? Who would do that? Now, apart from the obvious answer being this guy, I can tell you who would do that. Somebody who wants bigger forearms and somebody who wants bigger calves. The answer's right there in front of you. So, I mean, it just kind of depends on you, man. Let's see which way they turn it. EMS car. But whatever. So, what was I about to say? What was I getting at there? And you'll see it. You know, you don't have to, apart from the fact that you can see every top dog ever, and, you know, with a really fucking huge rise of social media and kind of making a spectacle out of whatever given thing you're interested in, which lets us see some pretty serious, actual, like, detailed info about guys who are actually killing it. Just look at your gym. Look at the fucking top dog in your gym. And I'm not even saying somebody who's like has the craziest results ever, but someone who's got legit results. They know what they're doing. They're going hard on a consistent basis. It's not magic. It's not fucking magic, man. That guy shows up on the regular. He knows about his diet. He knows about his sleep. He knows about making adjustments to his training, not hurting himself. And he just consistently fucking shows up. Like, working out, I like the fact that it's a long-term, just accrual of progress, as long as you're actually, you know, doing everything reasonably right. So how you can kind of think about it, like every time you go to the gym, man, you're just fucking, you're just adding what's a good word here? You're putting a little scoop of water into a bottle, right? You're adding some rocks to the pile. You're digging another shovel worth of dirt out of the hole. So every time you show up and every time you're on point, if you do that on the regular, even if every day you're not even making 1% improvements, you're making 0.01% improvements, over time, those will add up, and those will add up exponentially. So on a day-by-day basis, I mean, you're not going to expect anything crazy. But the longer you work out, guess what's going to happen, man? Fast forward like a year, if you haven't run into somebody and then you suddenly see them again, they're going to notice. fast forward 2 years, dude, 2 years of serious working out and then tracking your diet and kind of optimizing all your hydration and everything, you can become completely unrecognizable. And I've seen it. You know, I get tagged in all the fat loss transformations or like the workout journeys and everything else. I see it so fucking often. And those guys especially, I know for a fact that they understand what I'm saying. Because, and what I'm talking about is the guys who have made like serious fat loss transformations where they started off like pretty overweight, 2 years past, reasonably fucking jacked. So the reason why I like those guys the most is because they had to get everything right from the get-go. If your fitness journey started off a bit, you know, on the fucking heavier side, you know, you've got a chore, you've got this excess body fat to take care of, then that means that you didn't get to just start lifting and then leave the diet side alone. That's pretty often. I mean, if you're just a regular kind of normal 15-12% body fat guy and you start working out, you're gonna grow muscle, you're gonna be big. But the diet portion of things, you don't actually have to fucking seriously optimize to make the gains you want. As a beginner, you can eat the normal food that you normally eat. Just adding weight training is gonna give you results. But for somebody to go through the process of not only making their beginner gains, but also peeling off their body fat that they don't need anymore, not that they ever needed it in the first place, but you get what I'm saying, they have to have everything pretty much on point from the beginning. Calories, discipline, training, consistency, everything. And realize like, okay, if I want to do this, I have to be able to do it without anybody else's like serious emotional support, at least not on a consistent basis. Because anybody that gets anything done, anything cool done, they do it because they're internally motivated, right? Every time I see comments that are ripping on me for working out or whatever, I mean, it's just a part of the trade as you're posting workout shit. It fucking gets me fired up, you know? Like I like it because I know that this is my shit. So that's where you just kind of have to be able to visualize yourself going to the gym on a fucking near daily basis for the next few years, and I can guarantee you're going to look like a freak. Now, I don't necessarily mean a 250-pound freak or a 180-pound freak. That's very dependent on your choice of supplementation. A little bit of a taboo subject there. But, I mean, even when I look back at me when I'm fucking 180 lean, I still look pretty fucking cool because I was in shape, I had a good build, right? Now I just want to get, you know, crazy big. That's sort of my deeper drive per se. But no matter what, whatever your end goal is, of whatever path you want to end up walking down, it can be done. The only question is, are you the guy to do it? And that's not for me to answer. You know, it's the odds are low, right? The odds of people who seriously get their goals accomplished are low, but that's including the percentage of the people that just gave up and they just couldn't handle consistent effort and they didn't want to work at something. So that's all you have to do to separate yourself from 90% of the people who you're in, I mean, not that you're in competition with anyone else, but look, for the sake of this statement, yeah, you are. You know, if 1 million people get a gym membership every fucking year, 50% of them are not even going to use it. 30% of them are barely going to use it. And then that last 20%, that's guys who are going to go in consistently. Now, of that 20%, probably only 10% of the guys are seriously grinding, and only 5% of the guys are doing that as well as dealing with their diet. And then probably an even smaller percentage of those guys are doing hard, consistent training that they're trying to optimize over time, doing their cardio, counting their calories, making sure they're getting quality protein sources, kind of revolving their routines such that they can accommodate a 2-hour portion of time to dedicate to the gym day for fucking thousands of days, right? So that's what happens. You know, there's no mystery that somebody that is able to do that is going to get results. Really, the only kind of question is, like I said 2 fucking seconds ago, are you that guy? Right? Is this something that you want to do? And that's not a rhetorical question. You know, if you don't want to become if you don't want the weightlifting in the gym to be your thing, it doesn't have to be. I definitely think you should work out in general just because it's good for you. You're going to feel better. Having a bit of muscle on your frame is just going to make life easier. You can pick up heavier shit in your day and it's not going to be such a chore because you're literally just a stronger guy. But no matter what it could be, if you have one thing that you know and like you think about it and it comes up and you're not doing it because you want someone else's approval or anything else, it's because you know, like, oh, I used to do this when I was younger. I really liked it. I had a really good aptitude for it. I don't know why I stopped doing it. If you leave that little thing, if you leave that little dream that you have smoldering and you just give up on it, I can guarantee that by the time it's too late for you to really get into it, you are going to regret it. That doesn't have to be the gym. That can be fucking any endeavor that you really want to get into. So if you feel like the odds are against you, don't forget 80% of the people who might be interested in whatever that thing is that you want to do, they're not even willing to try. So for you to go through that first step and begin to take, reasonable, even just tiny moves towards whatever that thing is, you just separated yourself from fucking 95% of the people in the world. So, we're going to see it. Everybody and their mom, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, of course. I think it's good that everybody jumps into the gym come January 1st. But everybody and their mom is going to give themselves a workout routine or try to jump into it too hard and like set the bar to a level which isn't actually conducive with easing into a new kind of lifestyle change where it just isn't cohesive with fucking consistency, Like it's just, there is a value to understanding like, okay, I want to get to a point where I can work out 5 days a week, no question. And I can do that on repeat. But it takes a little bit to get there. You're not just going to immediately jump from zero gym exposure at all to now on a 6-day week, push-pull legs, freaking grind. There is kind of a scaling up from zero that you have to go through. But it doesn't take that long, The problem is if you try to jump from 0 to 100 instantly, it's too much. You're out of what, and I didn't come up with this, I'm just referencing something I've seen before. You're kind of putting yourself outside of this comfort zone, So what I mean by that is you could essentially think about you could say effort, consistency, intensity, whatever. Like the amount of energy and like time that you're putting into something. If you start at 0, obviously you have to put in some to get ahead of 0, right? But if you try to go full throttle to 100, that's going to be outside of this little range, right? This little pathway where, okay, that's too much to do at level 0 or at day 0. I'm not going to be able to keep doing this and I'm not going to enjoy doing it. It's just too much. So there is a certain scaling to think about. So what I'm trying to say is like, every day push yourself to a degree of uncomfortability, which you can come back from, recover, and then go harder the next time, right? So not only progressively overload your weight in your training, but also basically progressively overload your, ability to train for longer periods of time. Because in the beginning, dude, that can be a fucking reasonable battle, getting to the gym at all. So it's almost like, okay, I was able to go to the gym 3 times a week for the last 2 weeks. Let's add a day. All right, I've been doing 4 for a while, pretty easy. Okay, let's add a day. All right, this is probably about right. Let's try to make these lifts a little bit more intense. Let's try to watch some workout videos, not even tutorial videos, but just videos of some other guy who I like working out. Maybe try to copy some shit that he does. Okay, go from a couple of different sources. Let's say you got a crew of dudes who or just you got to know at the gym. Now you get to talk to them about your training. It's just, it's an upward spiral from there. But, you got to accelerate into it. So that's my little shtick there. Right? So it's almost, I think it helps to think about your overall kind of goal reaching as instead of thinking, okay, where am I right now versus where do I want to be? Like try to get more excited about, okay, Where can I be in a month from now? Where can I be in 2 months from now? And what can I do today to make sure that I get there? Because if those small steps are adding up, then it simply does become a waiting game. I mean, I love this about working out because there's really no barrier to entry. I mean, you can just do regular full body, or not even, well, yeah, you can do full body. Just like home-based workouts, kind of P90X style. You know, you don't even need a full-on fucking, gym. Let's say you don't even like the environment. You want to do your shit at home in privacy. Yeah, man, go for it. Nothing's stopping you. So, what I'm trying to say is, there's really just kind of a set of things, kind of a checklist, where if every box is checked off, or at least most of them are checked off, then it's not a question of, okay, is it going to be possible for me to make this happen? Is it going to be possible for me to reach this level? Is that even possible? And it's like a fucking magic trick, you know? If you watch a magician flip around a deck of cards, he asks you to pick one, and then he pulls it out behind your ear, and it's the same one. If you don't know how he did it, you're going to say, oh my God, how the fuck did he even do that? I couldn't even imagine being able to do that. But if you saw how the sausage was made, and you saw the tips and the tricks and the things and how he did it, then the mystique, right, the mystery is gone. Now it's simply, okay, if I do this, if I get a good amount of sleep, if I train pretty hard, however many times a week you can do at that moment, and I start to maybe hit my protein, drink a bit more water, try to get some electrolytes, or even just like stay more hydrated, get slightly better rest, and train hard. Dude, those are the big three. Frankly, everything else kind of falls behind the value of just keeping those things in order. So that's my thoughts there, man. It's not where you are, but it's where you can see yourself headed. But it's so much easier to lock in if you're a little bit more diligent and you're a little bit more kind of controlled of like just even the things that you're thinking about on a day-by-day basis. This is a little bit more of an active approach, but part of it is also going to be if I can maybe taking a little bit of a more objective look at even just who you're hanging around. I've never really had to do that very much. I kind of just keep the grind up. But if you're always hanging out with like 5 dudes and none of them are grinding, none of them are locked in, what are the odds that you suddenly will be? You're kind of going to match the environment that you're around. Not to just dog on somebody for not being jacked, but not everybody is going to be particularly supportive of shit that you want to do, and you've got to kind of be able to have the balls to do what you want to do, regardless of that, right? You don't need everybody's fucking authorization, and you don't need everybody's approval to do some shit, and odds are you're kind of anybody that does anything cool gets a fucking crazy amount of backlash. Name one notable person in any field, in anything where they're literally a top dog. Name one person who gets like 0 random backlash, especially online. So that's where you got to be a little bit more fucking tough. And if you have a clear view, if you got a clear view, if you have a clear image of something that you want to achieve, and you know that it's going to be cool, in what world do you need to listen to anybody else tell you like, nah, don't do that, that's stupid. Nah, why are you doing that, man? Right? And this is a little bit dicey, a little bit divisive to say, but dude, a classic fucking example, man, it's the fucking drinking, dog. If you got a crew of dudes every weekend on the regular, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they're out, they're slamming, dude, I'm talking blackout drunk. Now, I'm not saying everybody does that, of course, but for the guys that do, for the friend group, or from what I'm seeing, for like the cliques that go and do that, if you, how many times are you going to be able to hear, like, dude, why aren't you drinking, bro? What the fuck? Why aren't you drink? How many times do you want to really be around an environment while your buddies are telling that to you? Now, I'm not saying everybody's like that, but for the most part, let's say you're a badass lifter or just even just a fucking athlete, you know, if your actual physical performance is something you're trying to maximize, be it for like, you know, athleticism, lifting, or even just general fucking, you know, kind of health in a way. You know, I'm no health nut, but I know that taxing my internal organs with fucking, you know, nights out is not going to be cohesive with any fucking gains whatsoever. Really the actual fucking opposite. You know, but how often are you going to be able to hear like, dude, come on, just have one? You know, so that's my thoughts there, right? That's where you gotta potentially make an executive decision and maybe pull yourself away from somebody like that. And it's hard. You know, that's pretty hard for sure. I haven't had to I'm not particularly prone to peer pressure too much, but you know, if all your friends are dogging you, it's so easy to completely ease that tension by saying, I mean, you could go into it like, dude, I'm not drinking, bro, I gotta lift in the morning. It's going to be absolutely so easy to say, you know, and completely ease that tension and just go, all right, give me one. Give me a couple. Give me a few more. Wake up in the morning. Not ideal. You know, not ideal. So that's my stance there. You know, the less you can do anything that's going to interfere with your gains, the better. And you got to be able to kind of be a little bit responsible with, you know, the people that you're hanging around, because it's not a myth. You know, this isn't just speculation. You're going to kind of match the environment that you put yourself in. So if you kind of ease up on it, odds are, or if you kind of, you know, shrink it down, make it a little bit tighter, odds are you're going to have a better time, man. You know, sure, right? The circle gets smaller, but the players get better. As the circle gets smaller, the players get better. Do not fucking forget it. More than likely, I mean, I'm not saying you, but the general population, no. More than likely, the general population has not been grinding. This is something every New Year's and every, you know, towards the end of the year is when I usually talk about this shit. But every TikTok and Instagram post where it's like 2023 was our warm-up. 2024 is where we kill it. 2024 is when we start taking souls. You know, like, you know what I hate about that is the sentiment is there. The sentiment of that idea is pretty fucking cool. Like, it doesn't matter how the past, you know, has played out. Right? You've got time now to make some serious moves. But and everybody who's posting that kind of shit, and everybody watching it, liking it, and being like, yeah, fuck yeah, 2024 is my year. I mean, 90% of the people commenting that, they're just straight up fucking lying. Which, it's not surprising, but it is upsetting. You hate to see it. But the reason why I say that is because every year, fucking without fail, these posts start to resurface. In fucking 10 years, the same guys who were posting like 2019 was our warm-up. 2024 is where we take the spotlight. They're going to be posting the same thing every year, every fucking year, man. And part of it, I'm not saying this is true for everyone, but something I kind of believe in a way, is that it's a lot of talk. Right? Talk is cheap. Everybody's got a fucking mouth. Everybody can text on their fucking phone and say whatever, you know. It's like I see these posts of, you know, intermediate, moderate lifters, whatever. Of course, I'm going to relate it back to lifting, and they're like, this bulk, we're going to go fucking crazy. Fuck, I'm going to hit 315. In my mind, saying something like that, the stronger that you try to affirm and like say and try to show other people, like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna. In a way, I mean, not in a way, I definitely feel like all you're doing is kind of manifesting your insecurity with whatever that goal is. And you're trying to tell the universe, like, hey, I'm not lying about it. I can do it. Of course I can. It's like the stronger you defend yourself, the more reason that you have something to defend, in a sense. I think the guys who are actually going to bench 315 aren't posting about it. I think the guys who are actually going to get above 200 pounds aren't posting about it. They just fucking do it. And I know this is stupid for me to say because I fucking post a YouTube video of my workouts every fucking day. But you shouldn't do this shit to show off. As long as you go in and, push yourself, you're going to have a better chance. It's not like you're guaranteed to kill it. Nobody is ever guaranteed to kill it. But if you don't try, then you definitely won't. If you get after it, you got a chance. You got a fighting chance for sure. But if you never do, then what's the point of even thinking to expect any sort of results? What was I about to say? I was thinking something. I was thinking something mad insightful earlier. Or maybe, no, I just heard a TikTok quote that got me going. It was like, basic premise of the beginning of this quote was like, go all the way or don't even start. Go all the way or don't even bother. Which I don't necessarily think that's 100% accurate as a piece of advice. I think if you could do that, that's cool, right? If you got a thing, obviously if you go 100% into it, you're going to be better off progress/results wise. But sometimes I think that statements like that are little, mantras or whatever. I think they can be a little bit dissuading, because I think the idea of that, it'll sort of push people away who aren't necessarily, 100% into something. So, instead of like, oh, well, if I don't really think I'm going to be able to do it, I won't even try it. Whatever. Not cool, right? I mean, bust out let's quote Mr. Menser here. You never know how good you'll be until you try. So let's get with it. I like stuff like that a little bit more. And as you sort of progress, I mean, this doesn't have to be weights. This could be anything. Of course, if I'm talking about something, it's going to be about weights. But as you do it more and more, and maybe you kind of realize like, okay, this is something I want to put a lot of energy into. I want to put a lot of time into this, because not only do I like the results I'm getting, but I also like the process of, making that progress, right? Like just training every day. I look forward to it. It's like my main thing, I could have a totally shit day. I could have like full of exams. I'm just imagining a really busy day for me. So like tons of exams, tons of homework. I gotta go do something. I gotta replace some kind of something. I gotta clean the whatever. A full day of like just chores, just stuff that's kind of a bother, not really any fun, But once I'm done with that main portion, kind of the hassle portion, and I get my little 2-hour gap with gym, I'm like, all right, here comes the fun part. Here we go. And I like that a lot. Having something like that, I really think it can kind of, going from nothing to something, going from nothing to having something which you can put a lot of energy and effort into and make day by day changes, and you're just so into it, it's like what you think about more than anything else. I think to have something like that can, I don't know if I'm going to say it'll change your life, but I think it's going to give you a much better chance of having a good time. Because if you've always got something that you're looking forward to like that, plus, I kind of like lifting just in general, or I kind of preach about it just in general, not even in a bodybuilding context. I'm not saying everybody has to be a freak, but just by having a couple hours, not even a couple hours, even just an hour of legit physical exertion per day, that's just good for you. I've said this a couple times before, and I think every time I say it, it's worth mentioning. You got to remember, you're not just a dude walking around doing his tasks. You know, you're still kind of you're still just a brain in your skull piloting this fucking big ass thing, you know. And how you feel physically is seriously going to affect your just your overall subjective mood, right? So if every day you kind of feel groggy, you're just sort of do you really think you're going to have fun doing all your other shit? I'm not so certain. So everybody and their mom, I'm not saying you got to lift a crazy amount of weights, but I definitely think that 90, honestly, I won't even say a number like that. 100% of people will benefit from, let's just say, 30 minutes of cardio and a bit of weight exposure. Now, I'm not saying 3-plate bench, I'm not saying 5-plate squat, but actually pushing yourself a little bit with weights, that is good for you. Even if I wasn't, or if at some point, I stop bodybuilding style training where I'm really pushing it, I don't foresee ever not going to the gym on a consistent basis. Not even just for progress wise of maintaining like a freakish build, but dude, it's just good for you. So if you get off put by the idea of the gym, I feel like I hear this a lot about girls, like, oh, I don't want to get too bulky. Look, not the case. Right? Go in, curl something. You don't even have to do a gnarly workout. The total layman who's never lifted before, he's still going to benefit a ton from just going into the gym, picking up some dumbbells as heavy as he can go for like 10 reps, putting them down, do a couple sets, maybe do some chest machine. Even if you're doing some, like upper lower split, just a bit of weight exposure, that is good for you. Now, of course, I'm not just gonna stop there. I want to fucking push it to the absolute limit all the time on every muscle group, but that's just because I've got a bit of an obsession. Like, I don't think anybody has built a really awesome physique if their primary goal is like, okay, I want to be an awesome fitness influencer. I don't see that as a very good fucking motivational force. Like, if that's your goal, it's like whatever. I'm not gonna. Your goals are your goals. That's your own mindset. Don't let me invalidate you. But I don't know. That's not how I came up, honestly. Before I started posting anything, in my mind, I'm kind of hating on other influencers. Like back when I was just a regular Joe lifter, I'm like, look at these fuckers just fucking posting a workout. I'm lifting harder than you. So I guess it's kind of, honestly, looking back now, it's kind of strange that I ended up posting all this shit. At least, based on what my mentality was like back then. But you're gonna be so much more fucking satisfied if you're doing all these lifts because you like it, right? So pick a routine you enjoy, set some goals which aren't like a roundabout way to satisfaction. Direct satisfaction, I think, is much stronger of a motivation. The guy who says, okay, I want to grow muscle because it's going to make me feel good. I like it. I like the idea of being big and strong. I like the process. I like making gains. It's kind of proven to me that I can really do something. They like it. That guy's going to get way fucking bigger, and he's going to have a way better time doing it than the dude who's like, okay, I want to show them. Once they see that I'm big, then I'll be happy. Then that'll make me feel good to show other people that I can, really, I'm just trying to say, be a little bit more based, right? Doing things for anybody else's opinions, or, to try to please anybody else, or to try to get one over on somebody else. It's just not an awesome approach, not in my mind. In a sense, it feels a little bit petty, Now, if that's your initial motivator, right? Maybe, let's just say classic trope. This doesn't really happen as much now. Fucking kids aren't as big and cool as they were back, in the early 2000s. But classic trope, Your girlfriend leaves you for the jock. Maybe not, you get the idea, something like that. That guy, if he starts going to the gym, pretty legit. It's probably going to make him feel better to be bigger because of that. But in the process of going, I would hope that he would kind of realize, like, oh shit, the gym is fucking cool. I like this shit. And then just, do it just because he likes it. You got to remember, the best revenge is no revenge. I'm talking about some Thorfinn, stronger mentality, stoicism type vibes here, right? So that's really what I may not be putting it into words as well as I could kind of like envision in my mind, but I think I wouldn't say I'm spoiled, but I would say I'm very lucky that no matter what I have planned, no matter what's going on, like, outings, fucking little like day trips, or just fucking hangouts, whatever, no matter what I have planned for the day with whoever, I always have something, a period of time, I'm going to do my lift, where I'm like, all right, this is going to be fun. I'm excited to do this. It's good to have something on your schedule like that. To have something which you like, you can exert yourself, and you can make long-term progress with. I think that is just the way to fucking do it, man. You gotta remember, people weren't meant to just sit around and fucking pop zins and scroll on TikTok. That's at least not how we evolved, right? We were raised running out in the wild, fucking hunting shit, getting adrenaline rushes from catching stuff. Come on. Don't forget, we're not that much different, if different at all, than, all of those fucking tribal characters that were running around like 10,000 years ago. Genetically, very fucking similar, right? So, who do you think is going to have a better time? Just with life. Just with subjective enjoyment of life. The guy who sits around all day, does jack, like plays on his phone, like does some work or whatever, but doesn't really push it. Or the guy who kind of runs around a little. And I'm not saying you have to be like a fucking muscle freak in the gym, pushing as much weight as possible. Just fucking being active in general, Really, I'm just trying to rip on the sedentary lifestyle that everybody's picking up because we're all so dopamine dependent. And I tell you what, seeing videos of people walking around with an Apple Vision, that does not make me any more comfortable with the way that things are fucking headed. So fight this technological dystopia that we're moving into.